that best part.
During elk season.
This is my camera, okay? It's making a spear with this.
And I hit him.
And this.
And
this.
Backtrack.
And this.
I missed speed.
That's where he shows up. It wasn't pretty,
Introduce to you a couple that willingly wanted to be our guest speaker and come share with you today. We talked them into it. I hope they're in the room. Jesse and Amanda, are you here somewhere? Oh, yeah. Come on up. Today, Jesse and Amanda are going to share a little bit with you. They were the Trained to Hunt Co-Ed National Champions 2014.
Last year we got third.
Yeah, last year they got third, so they're backsliding a little bit. Back to me.
I mean, it's just time because Jeff said I had 15 minutes and I intend to preach. So, anyways, I'm Jesse and this is my wife Amanda. Thank you, Jeff and Kent and everybody that invited us to do this. But Amanda's going to share her experience with Trained to Hunt and how her hope, you know, how God kind of taught her a lot of stuff about herself through that. So.
Okay, so Lord put on our heart just to share about perspective, and that's something that certainly we don't have mastered, and He gives us lots of opportunities to retry and refocus our perspective. And the verse that's been on my heart this week, and just in the last couple of years especially, is just, I meant to look it up actually before I came, but I didn't. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's in Galatians. And it says, am I now trying to win the approval of man or of God? If I were still trying to win the approval of man, I would not be a servant of God. And I think for me, so much when I did Train to Hunt, I only did it really because my husband kind of drugged me in. In fact, he signed me up, paid the money, and I don't like to waste money. And I hadn't committed to doing it, but once he paid, I think he knew that I'm such a miser that way that I had to not let it go to waste. So I was committed. I was not trained. I had been shooting a bow for, I don't know, a few months with the first one. And anyway, and never had done any, my workouts when I had, we have 5 kids, so when I had time, it was maybe a 2-mile run and a Jillian Michaels video or something, I don't know. So it was very much out of my comfort zone. I've never considered myself an athlete. And so it was a real challenge for me to go to these things. And the Lord used it to really stir up junk that I had, that I didn't even know I had. Insecurities and fear of failure, fear of man. And before the qualifiers, the night before I'd get pretty depressed and feel very oppressed actually and want to withdraw. And for whatever reason, I just felt like the Lord kept putting on my heart, I need you to do this. I need you to trust me. And I could not figure out why in the world a competition like this would matter for anything eternally, why it was such a big deal. All I knew is the Lord was asking me to obey, and that's what it came down to. So we did the qualifiers, and then we ended up going to nationals in Colorado, which was a surprise. Never showing up to think that we would win a medal at all, but just thought, we might as well go for fun. Jesse, if you just remind me, Amanda, it's all about God. We're just going to go and love Him and love people and be available. So I thought, okay, I like to do that. We'll go do that. And anyway, we ended up showing up, and our competitors were a couple that were CrossFit trainers, both of them, and a couple that are professional archers. And you got Jesse and I, who are moms and dads from Corvallis, work out once in a while. And so then I was like, oh Lord, what are we doing here? And struggling with that perspective again and that mindset and just fear and insecurity. And I remember one of the days right before one of the competitions, I was over there stretching, doing my arm stretching, and one of our competitors walks past me on her hands, and I was like, what are we doing here? And anyway, just so funny. So anyway, needless to say, I don't have time to go into all that. I would love to tell you so many stories from it, and if you want to know afterwards, I can share. But needless to say, at the very end, when all your points are added over the weekend, because you don't know where you stand until the end, when third place was called, and I was expecting to hear our names, and I didn't, I was excited. I thought, oh my goodness, could we have won second? And then second place was called, and I didn't hear our names. And I just started bawling because I thought, no way, we won first? I mean, it's absurd. Like, you guys don't know us, but it's absurd, really. And so when they called first, I mean, I was a blubbering mess. I mean, there's footage, it was on national TV, and my pictures are like, it was not pretty. But I was so amazed up there. I just could not get over what God had done. And it wasn't at all about a gold medal. It was about just being willing to obey God and to see what He can do. And I think those places in life, what I've learned, those places in life where we feel like we're in over our heads and we're not qualified, is the perfect place to be. And I'm just learning that's where He shows up and gets all the glory, because we and everybody around us knows that we don't have the natural skill or ability, and that's how God is glorified. And I'm not saying if you obey God, you always get a gold medal, but I'm just saying for us, it was so huge just for me to look back and see all the fears and insecurities that He used to stir that up, and so many doors that He opened through us just going and being available to meet with people, and friendships that were developed, and just so many things that we would have missed out on if I had let fear and insecurity hold me back. And so I just want to encourage people, no matter, I mean, you may not be training for competition, but for me it was just paralleling to life, something much more than a weekend competition. That's for life. We just need to be as believers in places we're willing to obey and to get out of our comfort zones and let God do His thing. And so for me that was huge, just learning to have that perspective. And I have to say, we did win a medal this year, but it wasn't, this year I didn't go with the perspective that I needed to have, and I did go with that gold medal in my vision, and I wanted to defend my title and our title.
It was her title.
That gives you an indication where my heart was. And so when we won that medal, I really struggled with bad sportsmanship, and I was mad at Jesse, and it wasn't pretty. But it just, the Lord showed me the difference of, just perspective. It was for His glory versus for my own glory. That didn't turn out so well, but anyway.
All right, so yeah, I mean, that's basically the only reason we were on the podium is because she was with me. Because, I mean, once you hear the 3, 2, 1, go, she turns into a completely different person. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, we always train together, right? Or we're running together, and as a family, we run together, and it's just fun. And I'm always like, come on, babe, keep going, go, up the hill. But when we're in competition in the middle of it, it's like, she's like holding the water behind her, and I'm like 10 yards, barely able to run, sucking wind, and she's like, get up here. And so, yeah, it's pretty funny, just the different person that she turns into when it's competition time. But it's awesome. But and so I wanted to transition into our hunting this year. This since this is a faith in the field, you know. I mean, when I was asked to do this, I'm like, sweet, you know, I love hunting, bow hunting, and I love Jesus. So if I can tell people about hunting and Jesus, perfect, you know. And so so my perspective on this year, my hope for this year was, unbeknownst to Amanda, was to get Amanda her first elk. And you know, the whole her mad at me thing it's well deserved. I just kind of like get it in my head, and I'm just gonna like, we're getting an elk on the ground. I've already taken the selfies, you know, and the pictures to put on Instagram and Facebook, and that's where I went wrong. My hope for the hunt was focused on a mole down, was focused on getting Amanda her first elk, and I was willing, and it kind of unraveled to the point where, you know, we were in the middle of God's creation, just, you know, His invisible attributes all around us, and I'm just blowing right by. I'm blowing right past her and what she wanted. I'm blowing right past, you know, what my buddies Mark and Nate were there with us, and they were helping us out, and we were all hunting together, and I was just like so focused on getting Amanda an elk, and we had so many opportunities, and I just blew them because I was just so focused on getting the kill and getting it done. I wasn't allowing her to enjoy her first, attempt at shooting an elk, and it was more about me. It was more about what I wanted, what I desired, instead of praising God through it. I was trying to praise myself, and I was trying to, get accolades for getting my wife her first elk, and it's just, and I share that, and I share all of this, and we share all of our struggles, and our life's an open book because, there's no perfect people in the world, and those who think they're perfect, they just prove that they're not. And I like to share my struggles because it helps people connect, and so, that I failed so miserably at this hunt, and we're in my favorite spot, and it ends up, okay, picture this, we're the last evening of the hunt, and we've got probably, how many elk were there? I'm guessing like half a dozen, okay? And we got elk in front of us, and we got other elk we can't even see that I don't hear because I can't hear that well. And the whole weekend was Amanda following Jesse around, and I'm the, in my mind, I'm like this great guide. I'm getting her close to these elk, and in her mind, she's like, slow down, Jesse, 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 like constant Jesse. And wind's blowing, and I'm walking, and I've got elk in my sight, and I'm not even paying attention to my wife and her enjoyment of this hunt. And she, at one point, she actually picked up a rock to throw it at me to get my attention. And I turned around right then, and I saw the bull down below us, but she stuck that rock in her pocket. She was carrying it around just in case she needed to chuck it at me. And so we're on the last night of this hunt, and I had just blown a bull out at 5 yards. Little 4-point raghorn bull, and he runs out. I can hear him run out, and he stops. And I peek up over this hill, and he's 40 yards broadside. And I'm sitting there going, and she's 10 yards behind me, and I have my bow ready, and I'm like, I can shoot this bull right now. And I'm like, hey, get up here. And right then I could hear him blow off. And so I'm like, oh, never mind, you weren't ready, And so that's when the frustration from me started. And then so we head up this sagebrush opening, and there's 4 cows, and you could shoot a cow or a bull, and so there's 4 cows about 80 yards above us, and we just start booking it towards there, and I'm like, maybe I should let her lead just in case we see one, right? And so I'm like, okay, babe, get in front of me and just follow this up to those bushes, and you'll have a 40-yard shot. And so she's going too slow, and I'm, no, you got to get up there, and so I just all right, I'm going, I'm out, and I'm like, just follow me. And so I'm up the hill and sneaking up on these elk, and they're right on the other side of these bushes, and I turn around, and Amanda's 20 yards behind me. And she's like, I'll let her explain, this is funny.
Okay, so yeah, like Jesse said, I was a little frustrated, and it was new to me to be an elk and have so many, I was expecting the emotion of just being an elk and being out of them and thinking this is it, and then it's not. A little bit of emotion going on there, and like Jesse said, the whole weekend of him not hearing me, there's a lot of frustrations going on. So at this point, it all came to a head, and he's 20 yards ahead, and I knew he wanted me on his tail, but as we were kind of plowing on ahead, I caught movement to the side of my eye, and I saw a cow, or I saw an elk body 30 to 40 yards away from me in the trees, and I kept hearing the cow call. And he couldn't hear it, and I froze because I didn't want to spook anything going on here, but I could see the elk in front of him, and I didn't know what to do, and I thought, I know if he turns around and sees that I'm not on his heels, he's going to be frustrated, but so I kept trying to say something, Jesse, 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 and I wanted to throw my rock at him, but I was afraid I'd spook the elk ahead of him, so I'm just I didn't know what to do, and I was so frustrated because I didn't want to move and miss this opportunity, so I'm thinking, do I just pursue these on my own, do I follow him? And so I did what every mature woman would do. I started crying. I just stood there and was like, I have elk in front of me and elk to the side, and I'm crying. And so Jesse turns and he sees me and he goes, why are you crying? And I said, because
stupid. I don't even know why I brought you. And I said, oh, if you remember right, I didn't even want to come. I didn't even ask for this.
And so here we are having this whisper fight. Elk just looking at us. Not threatened at all, not running. They knew we were stupid hunters. They had nothing to fear.
No, so that's what that's what having a wrong perspective and hope for a hunt will do to you. It'll teach you a lot, and God is awesome at teaching us a lot about, how good He is and how dumb we are sometimes. But and so I learned a lot from that that experience and that hunt. And a week later, I got to take my son for his first elk hunt with a bow, and in the same unit, and we hunted for 4 days, and my hope and perspective was changed dramatically, where I just found joy in just being with my son and my brother, and we got in on some elk, and the wind always seemed to get the better of us, and so after about probably, I would say 4 blown attempts and about 150 elk later, we got in on this one herd, and the wind kept swirling, but it worked out perfect, and this bull was 30 yards, and we ended up 30 yards in front of this bull. He was raking a tree for 5 minutes with his eyes closed, and we were just sitting there watching, and my son had to stand up on this fallen juniper, and he was just standing there, and I was just watching him watch the bull, and just his eyes were just like, it was just unbelievable. And so, the bull steps down, I cow called, and he just makes the perfect shot. And the bull runs about 70 yards and goes down. Had to do a couple follow-up shots because he only hit one lung. But no, we ended up getting that bull, and it's just, it's a testament to just, training to hunt one, just being physically able to just keep going and day after day. And this was on the 4th day, and we ended up staying out there for, we came back on the 12th day, but I wasn't, I was still ready to keep elk hunting, but work called. So, but yeah, I just want to, kind of wrap it up here. We're only at 17 minutes. We got like 40 more minutes. But no, I just want to wrap it up and just say, my hope in Jesus is eternal. And whether you know Jesus or you don't, if you know Him, I want to encourage you to just keep pressing into Him, and to keep pressing in and reading His Word, and really just ask Him, to show you where you need to grow. If you don't know Him, I would love to talk to you, and I would love for you to just seek Him and just ask Him to show Himself to you and reveal Himself to you, because He's alive, and He's, as Romans says, His invisible attributes are known in creation. And so that's my heart. This is just icing on the cake, but my true heart is that every single one of us would just know and glorify God. And so thank you.
I bought a Hoyt,